Protestants for the Common Good.
You've heard all the arguments very well stated, so I won't rehearse those for you. I think what I can add to what's been presented here is the fact that there are many in the faith community that support this legislation. Certainly that's true of Protestants for the Common Good, and we have members in participation statewide in Illinois. But it's also true of the mainline denominations nationally, and I'd like to have you listen to a resolution that was passed by the United Methodist General Board of Church and Society in 2004, and I'm quoting because the words are important. Licensed medical doctors should not be punished for recommending the medical use of marijuana to seriously ill people, which is what we're talking about. And seriously ill people should not be subject to criminal sanctions for using marijuana if the patient's physician, which is what this bill provides for, has told the patient that such use is likely to be beneficial. That was adopted by the United Methodist Church and Society Board in 2002. And they're not alone. The Presbyterian Church USA in 2006 adopted a similar resolution. The Episcopal Church, and I don't know why it goes back this far, but it goes back to 1982, adopted a similar resolution. The Union for Reformed Judaism, same thing. So that the faith community has spoken and is speaking. And I like when Julie used the word demonizing at some point. Demonizing has a religious origin and dimension. And when I heard that word, I thought of all the people from the faith community that are still living in a bygone era of demons and simple, unthoughtful explanations for what happens in this world. We've got to peel back that mentality, bring forward what we believe, and let me remind all of us that the great commandment in the Christian faith is you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, and with all your soul. And your neighbor as yourself. And certainly that is not different from all the major faiths in this world. If you love God with all your heart, you're going to reach out in compassion to relieve suffering, which is what this bill does. If you love God with all your mind, you're going to realize that there are not better alternatives, and that the alternative posed here can be regulated and managed well in a way that the critics deny. And if you love the Lord your God with all your strength, you're only going to admire the stamina of Lou Lang and the others that are persisting in the face of those who are not yet ready to come forward, but they will. And Protestants for the Common Good and many in the faith community urge the passage of this bill in this session.
Is Dr. Christoph arrived? All right, then I'll wrap up. Reverend Sharp used the word compassionate. That's what this bill's about. In fact, it's in the title of the bill. It talks about the compassionate use of marijuana for medical purposes. Let's again briefly talk about what the bill does. It does some very simple things. It's a very controlled piece of legislation. It allows people with a doctor's permission to own 3 marijuana plants. 3, not 300, not 3,000, 3 marijuana plants. It requires them to get a license from the Department of Public Health, who will monitor and license each person. And it provides strict penalties for those who break the law or those who use the marijuana and drive or try to sell it or distribute it. Finally, the bill sunsets or ends in 3 years. It's a 3-year pilot program. It strains my imagination, and I'm sure yours, to think that the fabric of society would be destroyed within 3 years if we allow this to move on. I think we should move this bill. I think it should get to the governor's desk as soon as possible. To make that happen, we need all who are hearing our voices today to call their legislators and urge them to support Senate Bill 1381. It is our goal to pass it this legislative session and make it the law of Illinois as soon as we possibly can. We thank all of you for being here and be happy to answer any questions our friends from the press may have. Anyone?
Lou,
go ahead.
Aside from chiefs of police, where do you think your main body of opposition is, and how do you overcome that?
The main body of opposition is from those who think in Neanderthal ways. Those who think back to their college days, or their parents were saying, hey, stay away from that marijuana stuff, it's bad for you. It's old ways of thinking, and it's political ways of thinking. Most of the opposition comes from people who tell me that they're for the bill, but they just simply won't vote for it. And they won't vote for it because they're worried about their next election, Why, I have no idea, when a broad majority of Illinois citizens, even in the most conservative districts, support the passage of this bill.
I have a question. Do you suppose that they are not voting so they can hold this like a card up their sleeve and split out at the last minute to accumulate votes when they may or may not be reelected?
The answer to that is no. I just think legislators have decided that, or some legislators have decided that they get no extra votes for voting for it and doing the right thing. They can only lose votes for voting for it. And so many have said, I'll do the safe thing. We're not in public life to do the safe thing. We should be in public life to do the right thing. Anything further from the press? All right. Thank you all very much for being here today.
Oh, Lou?
Yes.
Where is the bill in committee right now? Or?
The bill's on third reading in the House. It's poised and ready for a vote. As soon as I have 60 people, good and true, willing to hit the green button and vote for it, I'm going to call this for a vote. The Speaker has committed to me that when I tell him I'm ready, we'll take the vote. And so no committee is necessary. It's already past that stage. All we need to do is find 60 people. And for those who are interested, we're close. We're close. But we need several more votes to pull this across the finish line, and all of you are necessary to make that happen.
And has it passed the Senate?
It has passed the Senate.
Okay.
So we're very close to passage in the House, and when it passes the House, it will go directly to the governor for a signature, and Dr. Young has assured us that the governor will sign that.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Young.
Thank you.
Thank you all.